a lot of members raised the issue of pay, so that will be the first issue that I will address, and then I will go through some of, I'll try to address as much as possible some of the issues that people have raised with me. There has been significant improvements in pay for members of the Defence Forces under the Lansdowne Road Agreement, particularly for lower paid members. The pay scales will increase further in all ranks over the lifetime of the Public Service Stability Agreement 2018 to 2020. The Defence and Defence Forces representative associations participated in the negotiations on the agreement, and their members subsequently voted to accept the terms of the agreement. And I have to acknowledge both PD4 and RACO for their participation in this and for the very good and excellent working relationship that I have with them. I know that Senator, the last speaker, Senator Gallagher, raised about people eligibility for working family payment, and this is determined having regard to criteria such as family income and the number of dependents. Circumstances surrounding an application for working family payment, formerly known as the Family Income Supplement, is a private matter between the applicant and the Department of Employment Affairs and Social Protection. Family income and the number of dependents are key variables in determining eligibility. Public service pay is determined having regard to the specific public service position, skill levels, etc., and not family circumstances. You stated, Senator, I know you want to try to get away there, that there are 300 privates. I'm not sure, but by the time you finished totting up, I think there was around 700 members of the Irish Defence Forces that are in, or more, I think more than 750. I'd actually encourage you to go back to where you got those figures from, because you are absolutely making a huge mistake. There's just, I would say, less than 100 or just a touch over 100 members of the Irish Defence Forces are in receipt of this family payment. So, like all this stuff that's out there in the ether, it is absolutely false. Like all the texts that go out and Twitters and all these things that go out, a huge amount of it is totally false. And the only people, everyone came in here and are so proud of the Irish Defence Forces, as I am. Absolutely. Senator Layden, I have to compliment you. You absolutely stood up. You didn't criticise the Defence Force organisation, and I compliment you for that. And my own senator here, my own party senator as well. That you didn't go out and start throwing out figures, there's gaps here and gaps there and everything like that, because some of the information that has been put out here this evening is totally untrue. Like what you have said about the family income supplement. That is totally untrue. And I hope you would, at some occasion, and I genuinely say this to you, on some occasion that you will come back in here to the House and you will withdraw that figure, because I think that is damaging. You stood up in one sentence saying you're very proud of the Defence Force, and I don't fault that. I absolutely believe you 100%, as does every member here. But please don't put out misinformation out there. Or maybe if you have information and you want to get it checked off me, I will do my best to do it. But that is totally untrue. In some quarters, the example that a commandant with 4 children could qualify for working family payment is being used as an example of low pay. The annual salary for a commandant paying Class A PRSI ranges between €63,644 and €77,129, including the military service allowance, depending on points on the pay scale. And there are higher rates of pay for specialists serving in the Engineering Corps and the Legal Services Office, etc., and there are other areas as well. And while individuals in receipt of annual salaries of amounts in excess of €60,000 may have their own financial difficulties arising from personal circumstances, a basic salary amounts to this nature cannot be considered as low pay. Senator Layden just spoke about the military personnel, particularly those who have a skill set which is directly transferable to non-military work and is very attractive for prospective employers. And you actually are dead right. And we have a challenge. I highlighted, I'm absolutely not hiding in saying that we have a challenge in that, let it be pilots, air traffic controllers, engineers, that they are going out into the private sector. And that is why I am happy to say that in the public service, in the report on the Public Service Pay Commission published in May of 2017, it is highlighted in this document. And subsequently in October, the 17th of October, Minister Donoghue has two specific areas that he has prioritised to be dealt with under specialist pay, and that is the health sector and the defence forces. And that is why, but what we have to do when we are submitting information to the public service pay, we have to submit data, real data, and that is what we are working with the military management at this moment in time. The pilot submission has already been submitted to the Public Service Pay Commission, but it's data-based, evidence-based, and that is what we have to do. That is what we have been asked by the officials, and that is what we and I have said we have to put in. Retention of certain specialist personnel within the Defence Forces was specifically referenced in the Pay Commission's first report, as I have said. The Public Service Pay Commission has commenced the process, examining in more detail the recruitment and retention challenges within the Defence Forces. The Department of Defence has requested to provide hard data and detailed evidence for the Commission. Military management have provided some material for consideration. The type and extent of the material requested by the Department in connection with specialist personnel within the specific corps and services is proving more difficult to obtain. But I am not going to put in a half-hearted effort, nor are my officials going to do it. They are going to put in the full facts, the data that is needed and required. Senator Crockwell raised, and I will go back to Senator Crockwell, some of the other issues as well. The manpower requirement of the Defence Forces is monitored on an ongoing basis in accordance with operational requirements of each of the three services. Personnel deployed from units or engaged in development training should not be confused with vacancies. Units are maintained in order that personnel can deploy, not for units to remain fully manned in barracks. And by analogy, there was one of the senior military people said to me recently when I spoke about gaps analysis and was stated to me, and I thought it was a genuine example of exactly the gaps that we have. Yes, we have gaps and we have the challenges. But when the fire engines are deployed to the scene of a fire or the scene of an accident, you don't bring in additional fire engines into the base while others are in use. Of course, if we are sending people overseas, of course you're going to have gaps. Of course, if you take them out of Cork, if you take them out of Galway, if you take them out of Kilkenny, well then you are going to have gaps, absolutely. But we have to manage within the resources then that are left behind. And I've been assured by military management that they are capable of carrying out all of what is required within the White Paper and all that is expected by government. The Defence Forces have always drawn personnel from units for overseas service and other deployments, and personnel also engage in training on an ongoing basis. And it is important that military personnel have experience of a full range of duties and been part of military force in a situation where they may be called upon to reinforce operations in different parts of the country. And I think we've seen that over the recent bad weather and the snow, specifically in the month of March. And this requires their deployment to locations where that experience can be gained. This is to be welcomed, and any decisions regarding scaling back on overseas deployments, deployments at home or training will be informed by the advice of the General Staff, and I can confirm that I have not received such advice to date. There are currently some 640 members of the Defence Forces personnel currently serving on overseas duty. There is very significant contribution in the context of the resources available for defence. The majority are serving in the Middle East, including Ireland's current contribution of 375 personnel participating in UNIFIL. This year not only marks the 60th anniversary of Ireland's first participation in UN peacekeeping, but it also marks the 40th anniversary of Ireland's first deployment to Lebanon as part of the UNIFIL mission. In recognition of this, we are planning a programme of events to commemorate these anniversaries during the summer. From speaking to my ministerial colleagues across the EU, I know that the retention challenges that we face here in Ireland are also an issue for many of our militaries overseas, particularly in filling of specialist posts. Our work is underway, which is aimed at addressing these particular challenges, and this will remain a priority for me personally as Minister. The Department has forwarded an initial tranche of information of the Department of Public Expenditure which relates to Air Corps pilots. Further material in relation to the challenges in the defence sector will be forwarded and submitted to the Department of Public Expenditure Reform in the coming weeks, and the collation of data and information is the collation of data and information is completed. The submission will be finalised shortly and will be sent to the Department of Public Expenditure Reform, who are coordinating the responses on behalf of the Public Service Pay Commission. I raised the issue that Senator Layton had said, and I do agree to Senator Layton when you said about PD4 and RACO. I work very closely with them. I think it is my job and is my duties as Minister to work closely with them. I meet them annually and discuss any issues with them. Senator Crockwell spoke about the White Paper on Defence 2015, and yes, the review is expected in mid-2018, towards the end of 2018. And absolutely, we have changing challenges in society since 2015, but we have to be able to face these challenges, and we will face the challenges. And I have every confidence in all of our security services, let it be in Garda Síochána and the Defence Forces, who will assist in Garda Síochána in aid to the civil power when needed and required. I don't believe that there is a crisis. We have challenges. Absolutely we have challenges. And I wasn't afraid. I wasn't going to come in here this evening and say everything is okay, rose in the garden, move on, nothing to see here. Absolutely not. I want to be truthful, I want to be upfront, and I want to tell you exactly what is happening. And we have challenges, but I do believe that we are working towards fixing the challenges that we have. You spoke about the contracts, and I am reviewing the 1994 and the 2006 contracts are being reviewed at the moment. People exiting the organisation. You spoke about over 30 cadets exiting in 2017. Totally untrue. There was 12 cadets exited in 2017 for various reasons. It's like if I go into politics and I don't like it in my first term, well, I'll leave it. I love politics, I'll stay here. If I go into a job, let it be teaching, let it be nursing, whatever it is, let it be the army. If you don't like it, you get out of it. There's different reasons. Could be medical, could be a huge amount of different reasons. Why though it's 12 cadets? There was 209 in training left. Oh, no, actually it wasn't you.
Sorry.
No.
I would draw that. So.
There was 209 in training left in 2017.
Probably you.
And I'll go back to 2001. In the height of the so-called boom, I won't say the height of it, there was 302 left. In 2007, absolutely in the height of a boom, there was 188 left. And then it fell in 2011, 2012, 2013, 2014, because we all know people wanted to stay. The recession was there, and that's the way it was. There was 169 left in 2016 and 209 left for various different reasons. Some of them maybe weren't up to it, they left, and some of them left of their own accord. Not aware of the heavy machine gun accident or incident or near accident. I don't micromanage. Unless I'm told these issues, I will take action. I'm not aware, and I've checked this out because I've seen this in the public fora about one of the ships going out and having to come back because there wasn't enough crew on it. I'm not aware of that. Senator Dolan spoke about our neutrality. No matter what decision we make in Europe, I will make sure that Ireland's position is reflected in that. And when we joined up to PESCO, I brought it to the government, I brought it to the Dáil and got approval, and I brought it here to the Senate as well, even though there wasn't a vote on it. But I came in here, explained exactly why and the reasons why we were joining up the PESCO. I think it is good. The reasons why Senator Crockwell said that we do face different challenges. We can't be left behind. If we are to have a defence forces that have capabilities, that experience of whatever it is, well then we have to be able to be as good as the rest. But all of the decisions that we make as a government are very much reflected. Our neutrality stance is very much reflected in that. You stated that we've contributed hugely to overseas duties. Absolutely. And being able to work with like-minded countries and states within PESCO, I think it's very, very, very important. We've had recruitment going on. Recruitment has never stopped for the Defence Forces, and definitely during 2011, 12, 13, 14, 15 and 16, when members of the opposition at the time were saying we should stop recruitment into the Defence Forces and recruit elsewhere. We didn't, because it was so important to have continuous recruitment into the Defence Forces. There has been, I received through negotiations with Minister Donoghue, negotiated a 98 million package in the last budget. We have 541 million for the period of 2018 to 2022 to spend on all types of infrastructure, let it be equipment, let it be barracks, whatever it is, and I outlined some of the equipment platforms that we are new and upgrading in my opening speech. You spoke there about that family member and family members losing people overseas. As I've stated just previously, that we are celebrating our 60th year in UN duties and 40 years in UNIFIL. I intend to have, as part of, I think it's important that we celebrate, and I will call it a celebration of our anniversaries, our participation in UN peacekeeping. And as part of the celebrations, I will bring back each and every one of the members who lost either a son or daughter. It's been all males who have lost their life in overseas, to my recollection. And I will be bringing back their immediate family members for some sort of service celebration over that weekend. And it'll be the family members. It'll be a very solemn ceremony specifically for the family members. And I'm determined to do that because I believe it is important, because the people who lost their lives overseas sacrificed their lives, not just their lives, but the sacrifices the lives of their parents, their wives, partners and their own children as well. And I was delighted that in March of this year that I was able to bring back one of the surviving members of a serious incident in UNIFIL in Lebanon over St. Patrick's Day, and it was his first time that he went back to visit the scene of the accident where two of his colleagues were shot. Senator O'Donnell raised a number of issues about neutrality, which I have addressed. Recruitment, which has just closed on Sunday night. Last year, of my own decision-making, I introduced that we should have two tranches of recruitment, both in the first part of the year and the second half of the year, because I felt that there was people applying for the Defence Forces who were left for almost 12 months on a rolling application. I thought that was wrong. No young person should have to wait there for 7 or 8 or 12 months to be called. That he should know within 4 or 5 months exactly where he or she stands. I think that is only right and proper, and I'm very happy with the number of applications. And I also, the apprentice for the Air Corps is still open. I think it was Senator Robbie Gallagher said it's an awful pity that that I'm not at the cabinet table. Just to inform Senator Gallagher. I'm at the Cabinet table, have my feet firmly under the Cabinet table and proud to do so, and fighting on behalf of the Defence Forces. I have been given full responsibility as Minister with responsibility for defence. And until I have this position, I will represent all members of the government, all members of the Defence Forces, from the newly recruited to the more senior member, while I am in this position, and am proud to do so. Thank you very much.
That concludes statements. Acting Leader, when do we propose to sit again?
10:30.
Thank you. The House stands adjourned. Is that agreed? Yep. The House stands adjourned.